Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to the BS Scouting Podcast. My name is Brad, and I'm the co-host of BS Scouting along with my twin brother Sean. Sean, say what's up.
Hey everyone. Today we are very lucky to have a guest with us today. We have Thomas Christian from GOATedNBAnews.com. Thomas, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, Brad and Sean. I'm going to be third wheeling here for the top 25 players, 25 and under. And I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah, so let me just explain a little bit what we're doing in this podcast. So we are doing our top 25 players that are 25 and under, so 25 years old or younger. The rules with this list is based on the upcoming NBA season. We are predicting strictly on that, nothing like far down the line. Jamal Murray will be excluded from all our lists due to his injury, and rookies and players who are currently 25 can be on the list. So, Brad, Thomas, you guys ready to get rolling?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right, Brad, how about you go first and tell us your your 25 through 21 players on your list?
All right, yeah, so I got Jaren Jackson Jr. at 25. I got the rookie Cade Cunningham at 24. I got DeJounte Murray at 23. Jalen Green at 22. And D'Angelo Russell at 21.
Okay. And just so our viewers know, we're going to go through each of our list in that order first, and then we'll talk about it. So, Thomas, how about you go next?
Yep. I've got Colin Sexton at 25, Jaren Jackson Jr. at 24, John Collins at 23, Mikal Bridges at 22, and Michael Porter Jr. at 21. And
Okay.
John, see you.
Yeah, all right. So mine, I have at 25th, I have Lonzo Ball, 24, D'Angelo Russell, 23, Colin Sexton, 22, John Collins, and 21, Jaren Jackson Jr. So I had Jaren Jackson a little bit higher on mine than you guys, I realize now. I just want to ask why you guys had who'd you guys put in front of him and why? Or like,
Yeah, so I mean, for me, just seeing after the injury last year, part of it, look, we all created these lists. There's a lot of good players that are young.
yeah, the NBA is only getting better.
This is not easy. But with Jaren Jackson Jr., look, he's a very good defender. There's certain things with his offense that, he's a little hit or miss for me. His jump shot's a little awkward with his mechanics, but it goes in a lot. It goes in enough. His post game is decent. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I could definitely see him flourishing, though. I see why you do have him as high as you do.
Yeah, I think it's very respectable to have him at 21. For me, Jaren Jackson Jr. is just one of those guys where he has all of those tools to be much higher on this list. He just I just haven't seen him quite put it all together yet.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am with that too.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm kind of like predicting that could be this season. With the opportunity that Valanciunas is gone, I think he's like the lead big man there, and I think he should hopefully take the next step forward for his career.
I'm curious as to why both of you put D'Angelo Russell in the bottom 5. I had him a little higher on my list.
Here, Brad, if you want to talk first.
Yeah, so for me with Russell, I think he's not a true point guard necessarily. I don't consider him. He's a very skilled player, but I don't know if they're going to – I still have my doubts if they're going to win games truly. And frankly, they got two guys that are, in my opinion, more talented scorers playing next to him. So, I don't know. That's kind of where I fall with him. That's why I have him at 21.
Yeah, D'Lo last year averaged about like 19 points per game. I don't see his like opportunity growing in his role there. I think the other two guys that are there, Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, will be able to have more opportunity to flourish. And I think D'Lo's kind of like the third guy. And
Right.
I don't think he'll go that much higher. But how do you feel about like his placement?
I like the point of his fit around Edwards and Cat and some of those other guys. He definitely doesn't have like all of the tools that maybe they'd like him to have, but
Mhm.
for me, I'm not as much of a like a stats guy or a scouting guy as you guys are. I kind of try to cover more of the personal side, and I just see D'Angelo Russell as this guy who has been getting a lot of flack from fans recently, and I just see
Sure, yeah.
him going with
Yeah.
his best friend Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota and deciding, you know what, I've got Anthony Edwards here, and we're going to prove a bunch of people wrong. So I put him. I only put him at 17th, so we'll get to him in the next round. But I decided like from that perspective, he's just got to be a little higher.
So
Okay.
from that take, it sounds like you think the T Wolves are going to do pretty well this season.
I think that they're gonna be like a play-in tournament team. I don't think they're
Okay.
gonna be good. I think they'll be a
Hey,
play-in
if they
team.
if they make play, and that's a success for them in my opinion.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they could have a lot of injuries and a lot of like, I don't know, but there could be a lot of things that could go wrong. A lot of footholds or whatever that footfalls, I guess. But I mean, I don't see why if they've got a three dudes who can ball, like I don't see why they
Yeah.
couldn't be a lot higher than they were last year. I mean, last year they were abysmal, so like anywhere could be up from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And then I'm gonna say one more thing till we move on to the next one.
Yeah.
You guys both have Michael Porter Jr. in this range, correct?
Yes.
No, he actually missed my list. He
Oh
was in
my
the honorable
oh
mentions.
my goodness. What do you guys hate about my guy Michael Porter Jr.? What did
You
he do to
know,
you guys?
I actually would have had him higher, but I decided that he should be lower because I think he'll have a little bit more trouble on defense. So I almost put him like around that like 15, 16, 17 range, but then I decided to dock him down to 21.
Okay. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
I put him at 20, but well, Brad, what was your how come you left Michael Porter off?
Part of it was just
I mean it's
opportunity.
hard. It's hard making these lists.
With a lot of these other guys, like I had Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham in here. I think they're gonna have a lot of opportunity and do well. And with Michael Porter Jr., obviously we know. I mean, shooting's his strength. His shot mechanics are beautiful. Um, and I mean, he's going to be good. But yeah, I mean, I can't argue too much why you have him higher. And the only reason why I have him off this list is more so just because I think of these guys as so good in front of him.
All right, guys. So let's move on to our next players. So let's go to 20 through 16. Thomas, if you'd like to go first, go right ahead.
Yeah. So rounding out my 20 is Miles Turner. Then at 19, I put Lonzo Ball.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
18,
Okay.
De'Aaron Fox. 17, D'Angelo Russell. And at 16, I had DeAndre Ayton.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a fun conversation.
Okay.
I'm ready.
We'll get
I'm
to
ready.
that.
Brad, would you like to
my
go next?
20 through. All right. So yeah, my 20 through 16, I got at 20, I got John Collins. At 19, I got DeAndre Ayton. At 18, I got Colin Sexton. At 17, I got Brandon Ingram. And at 16, I have LaMelo Ball.
Wow. Okay.
All right, what's yours,
I don't
brother?
have any super big gripes with that, I feel like.
So 20, I have Michael Porter Jr., as I previously said. 19, I have Jalen Green. 18, I have Cade Cunningham. 17, DeAndre Ayton. And 16, Ben Simmons.
I feel like that's the lowest Ben Simmons that we've got so far, right?
Yeah, that is low.
I have my reasons.
Let's start there. Let's start there. Why do you have him at 16?
If I'm comparing, I just think this is going to be a difficult year for Ben Simmons. I think there might be some time where he's sitting out while they look for a trade partner. I don't know if I love a lot of the situations that he'd be going to. And right now, obviously, I just think he can be a liability on the offensive end at sometimes, and it can hurt. And that's why I kind of liked other players more than him when I made this list. But obviously, we all know what Ben Simmons is capable of. We all know what Ben Simmons is. So it's a little bit of a punch in the stomach to say it, but I have him at 16.
Yeah,
For
I
that
feel like
reason.
Brad would be the best to like counter with that because he has him very high.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I mean, look, I guess I'm looking at it in a different perspective in the sense of I'm just expecting him to play with the Sixers right now. I'm not expecting them to sit him. I'm not expecting him to get traded until told otherwise. According to Joel Embiid, they're still good buddies. And he could just be saying that to media, but whatever. But as long as he's on the Sixers, I mean, he's a really talented player. I mean, he is just so talented defensively. I think we can all agree there. He's one of the best passers to shooters in the league, and they got shooters on that roster. So I got him a lot higher. Yeah, I get it. 16.
Yeah, I kind of split the difference there, so it's about the same. But his talent is for me is so like undeniable. He could be a lot higher on this list if it wasn't for
we can all agree there.
off court stuff.
Yeah. So let me remind me, Brad, who is your 20 through 16?
So yeah, I got Collins, Ayton, Sexton, Ingram, and LaMelo Ball.
Okay.
What made you decide to put Sexton so high, like over Ayton, over all these other guys?
Part of it was just the opportunity or how much the Cavs are going to need him and how much weight's going to be on his shoulders as a scorer and shot creator. And he averaged over 25 points last year. I don't know if I expect him to do that again because they did add other weapons and whatnot, but that's just why I have him so high just for this upcoming season. Not necessarily because I like him as a player more than these other guys, but do I think he's going to have a better season? Yes.
Almost like a KPJ in Houston type situation.
Kinda, yeah.
I see that.
Okay, hold up. So you have De'Aaron Fox at 18.
Yes. Well, where do you guys have De'Aaron Fox? Oh, you guys have a lot higher, huh? Yeah. Here's why. It's Luke Walton, man. I mean, I'm a California kid, right? I during the Warriors run, because I was a Warriors fan at heart, I actually decided to start rooting for the Kings because the Warriors got boring to root for. And I kind of became a De'Aaron Fox like fan, but every single year I just see the guy like hurting, you know? It's tough to play on a team that's bad. That's that bad. And I don't know. My gut feeling is that it's going to be a really rough year for him, that he might get a little disillusioned, and that we'll see a fall off in his production, especially with Davion Mitchell and Tyrese Halliburton both kind of breathing down his neck a little bit. And I don't know. I could see him getting a little disgruntled with the front office and possibly requesting a trade, or that a team might come and try and swoop him up.
Yeah, I mean, for me, just the fact that they were unwilling to trade him for Ben Simmons, it says enough to me. With the Kings, they're all big on the analytics. I've said this a few times. And they want as many ball handlers as possible. So as to the point of like adding Halliburton and Davion, I don't think it's going to hurt his playing time or productivity at all, actually. I think it'll hurt. I think they'll play 3 guards at a time between like Hield, Mitchell, Halliburton, and Fox. I think 3 of them will be on the court almost at all times, I'm expecting.
That would be really fun to watch. if that happens.
Yeah,
But I'm reticent because I don't I don't know if that's gonna how that's gonna look, if that makes
I mean,
sense.
yeah, De'Aaron Fox though. I mean, even last year, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton played a lot of off ball with him, and Tyrese played good. De'Aaron Fox played good. De'Aaron Fox averaged 25 and 7. I get their record wasn't great, so obviously for
Yeah.
the winning aspect, but I
Yeah, and
honestly don't put
I'm not
that
expecting
on
the record to get
Fox.
much better. I'll agree there with
Yeah,
Luke Walton point.
no,
Yeah, I did dock for team success because I think that's important, or that was part
Sure.
of my criteria,
Okay.
I guess. But also I mean obviously the talent is undeniable. He could be ranked a lot higher on this list. It was just more the floor of that was, I was like, I don't know, 18.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. I mean, there's different ways to look at these lists.
Yeah.
There's no
I feel
right
like
or wrong.
it's almost the same reason, in reverse, that I put Lonzo Ball highly, and I know that you guys didn't.
Yeah, and
So
I love Lonzo, but and I see why you kind of put him there because he should be pretty big to their success, if they do or the Bulls do have success.
I'd like to see them just. I think that there's going to be a Chicago crowd is going to be crazy. That's going to be a really fun team to watch. They're not going to be good, maybe, but I mean, I think they'll be a play-in team, but I mean, they're not going to be higher than a 6 seed. But
Ooh,
they'll
I
be
don't
fun to
know.
watch.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I think they have a good chance to be better. But I think Billy Donovan will be really good for Lonzo. I think he'll figure out the right way to use Lonzo Ball. I do think Lonzo Ball will have good success in Chicago. But I think it'll more factor in for his. I don't think his volume will go that much higher than it was with the Pelican, than 14, 15 points a game. I think it's more he'll be a little more efficient and get that 16 points per game, 17.
Yeah, I put him higher from the assist potential.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know what? That's more the big thing too, I would say.
Yeah,
and then just the off ball stuff that he does. It's amazing. It will be really good in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I can't deny that. That's fair argument.
All right, guys, should we move on to our, I believe, is it 15 through 11? Is that where we're at?
Yep, that's where we're at.
All right. So I'll go first with my 15 through 11. So 15, I have Brandon Ingram. 14, Domantas Sabonis. 13, Anthony Edwards. 12, Karl Anthony Towns. And 11, Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
So
Plenty of discussion.
Yeah, Thomas or Brad. Here, we'll have Thomas go next.
All right. Yeah, I mean, this is I guess this is going to turn your guys' heads because I had Brandon Ingram at 15, but then I put Zion at 14, Ben Simmons at 13, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 12, and John Morant at 11.
Okay. All right, Brad. Let's hit us with your list.
All right, so I got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 15, Anthony Edwards 14, Domantas Sabonis 13, Jaylen Brown 12, and Karl Anthony Towns at 11.
Okay.
So both of you, I guess, have decided Minnesota is not going to be that team this year. Is that the decision here?
Yeah, I'm not seeing them as a play-in team this year until I know I'm not too familiar with their head coach and Finch.
I don't love their depth.
As well, yeah, their depth's not great. But yeah, I mean, I'm not in love with them. I just don't see them changing unless they really play a different brand of basketball.
I mean, I totally see. I think that's totally valid. My one thing on Cat was I heard this take. I think it was from Cowherd or something, honestly. But it was basically there was a Shaq year. There's a few Shaq years where, and I'm not comparing Karl Anthony Towns to Shaq, but there's a few years where he had actually a very poor defensive rating And that's kind of the one gripe a lot of people have on Cat. He had a very poor defensive rating during the regular season, and then when playoffs came around, he would put it all together. And I'm wondering if, I mean, there's really no reason why Karl-Anthony Towns can't be a really bad, like a better defender, except like he just needs to show improvement on that end. And I'm wondering if when he has better teammates and better people around him, that would convince him to actually try a lot harder on the defensive end. So I'm wondering if we'll see a much more on defense from Cat, and that's why I put him a lot higher.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting point. I mean, just a lot of defense, so much of defense is effort, and just I mean, that's a fair point. With better teammates, he's going to probably be more engaged if they're winning games instead of what's been the past couple of years of just, in a sense, almost putting up quote unquote empty stats.
Yeah.
So,
what about Edwards, you guys? You guys both have him a lot higher than I do. I don't even have him in like top 25.
You don't have him top 25. Oh man.
Well, I put him in my honorable mentions. I'll be fair.
No, that's not fair. That's not fair. So, Sean, you can go first.
I mean, Edwards was just so close to winning Rookie of the Year last year, and like him and LaMelo had pretty similar value in my eye. And I just think Anthony Edwards can make a good jump this upcoming season with another year into the league. I think he only has opportunity to grow. I think they'll put a lot of focus into his development in Minnesota. And I really think he could be a really good two-way wing, and I think he'll take another step forward this upcoming season.
I had him taking a step back. That's why I had him. I don't think the league was ready for Anthony Edwards. Like when I don't know coming into the draft, like of his draft, I guess it was him, Wiseman, and LaMelo, right? And I thought LaMelo should go 1 and Wiseman should go 2. And I mean, he clearly has proven that he deserves the number 1 overall draft pick. But yeah, I think his game is something that players like weren't exactly like ready for him to have that kind of game. I think a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, he can just dunk and that's about it." But he has a much. It's not a great offensive game, but it's something that's more well-rounded than a lot of people I think gave him credit for. Because at Georgia, he had like kind of some weird stats. But so yeah, I decided that like in the second year they might figure him out a lot more, and then I was like, okay, I don't think I can put him as high because of that.
Well, I actually want to counter your point there and tell you why you're wrong. Actually,
Okay.
So
Please.
Anthony Edwards, go to Georgia real quick. They did not have a point guard on that roster, so no one was setting him up. It was everything he had to do was create for himself, which is why he wasn't that efficient. And then, yeah, I mean,
that's what that's why sorry, I was trying to say that's why I thought that people were doubting him coming into the draft.
Yeah, but then he actually struggled the first half of the year and not the second half.
He struggled bad first half shooting percentages.
Great second half of the year once he kind of figured out his guy's footing down, found his place in the league, gained some confidence. Because it wasn't any different in the shot selection he was taking. He was still taking the same shots. It was just going in more, and it looked like he looked a lot more comfortable. And so a similar thing we saw with Trae Young, where he really struggled the first half of his rookie year and then flourished the second half.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do have Minnesota high, so I guess it would help my case if he was better. But I think he'll be one of those like players that if he's good, it'll be really interesting for Minnesota.
Yeah. So we had.
So actually, I want to talk about one more. So
yeah,
you guys have Ja Morant both in this range. I have him a little higher. Why do you have Ja Morant where you do?
Opportunity. It's just kind of as simple as that. I mean, that their team is The Memphis Grizzlies have like a team structure where I mean it's kind of just Ja Morant and the rest, right? I mean Jaren Jackson Jr. is on our list, but it's going to be the Ja Morant show, and I'm excited for year 3 of Ja Morant.
But that's where I'm like, I have him higher actually. So that's where I was.
Oh wait, my bad. Oh my bad.
I haven't even said Ja Morant yet.
Oh, you
Oh, you
haven't?
have him at 6.
I haven't said Ja Morant yet.
Oh yeah, I'll get into why I like him.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Or yeah, you want to talk? You can talk right now about Ja. Why not?
All right, so a lot of their offense last year was based around Jonas Valanciunas in the post a lot. They ran more sets, and now without Jonas Valanciunas, they don't have that same post-up threat. Steven Adams isn't going to provide that.
Mm.
No.
And I expect a lot more pick and roll, and I expect, like you said, a lot of opportunity for Ja Morant.
I think that he'll make the All-Star team this year.
Yeah, I think
I definitely think he will.
I think he's in contention as well. I actually thought I was putting him too high at my list, so I felt like I had to put him like lower to temper that expectation. So I'm glad to hear that we've got some Ja lovers here on this podcast.
Yeah, so guys, I don't mean to sound unprofessional, but I did forget to put Shai Gilgeous on my list.
How could you?
I don't know. I totally forgot of him being at 25 and under. I don't know what was going on. So I will say that.
There's a lot of angry Shai stands on Twitter right now. That'd be very, very disappointing.
There's a lot of them.
Oh my gosh, right? What is that?
I can't tell you.
Wouldn't be able to tell you.
I'm sure they're gonna have a problem where we rank them to, and that they're not top 10.
Yeah. I want to talk briefly because I know. Well, maybe we should talk about this later. Zion Williamson, because I know you guys both have him 5. I don't. You want to talk about that when we get to that point?
Yeah, let's talk about that in a bit. Yeah.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah. So let's go to the next, right?
Yeah. So let's go 10 to 6.
Here, Brad, you want to go first?
Yeah, that sounds good. So at 10, I got Bam Adebayo. At 9, I got De'Aaron Fox. At 8, I got Ben Simmons. 7, Devin Booker. And 6, who we just talked about, Ja Morant.
Okay. All right, Thomas, how about you go?
Okay. Yeah. So number 10, Domantas Sabonis. Number 9, I got LaMelo Ball. 8 and 7, I got the 2 J's, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And then at number 6, I've got Bam Adebayo.
Okay. Number 10, I have LaMelo Ball. 9, I have Ja Morant. 8, Bam Adebayo. 7, De'Aaron Fox. And 6, Devin Booker.
All right.
So, yeah. Okay.
I want to touch Bam. We all had Bam at that point, at this section of the thing, but I had him a little higher than you guys. So what is it about Bam that doesn't make him quite crack that upper echelon yet for you guys?
We were all actually mixed because Brad put him 10, I put him 8, and you put him 6, right? Is that what we did?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean with Bam, I mean everything he does, I mean he is a great defender. He provides so much versatility. The only reason why I just said for this season is just a little bit less of opportunity, especially offensively, for him to flourish. He struggled. He's not a great role man. He's a pretty good role man, but he's not great. He's not in that next elite category. So that's kind of where I have him at 10.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I kind of have him at 8. I don't know. It kind of a little bit goes on what Brad said just now, and also just the fact that I think he won't be as much needed on his team's offensive end now that they have Kyle Lowry also. I still think Bam will be good and obviously get his touches, but I don't think there's any next step for him. I think De'Aaron Fox has the potential to take another step in his game, try to help the Kings a little bit. Devin Booker for me, I have in front. Devin Cash Booker. I mean, he was just in the NBA Finals. Like I had to put him ahead of Bam there.
Yeah, no explanation needed for that guy. I put Bam almost higher, but almost for the same reason that you put him lower, Sean.
Okay.
Bam is 24 years old, right? And he is now entering like basically his physical prime, but his player, like the way he plays, it's kind of depends on that physical profile. And I think that these next 4 years are going to be crucial Bam years because this is basically like I don't see him playing like for a really long time in the NBA because his game is so much predicated on his body and on his athleticism. And if he gets a few injuries or gets a little banged up, it might just be it for a guy like Bam Adebayo. So I wanna see him be a little desperate in these next few seasons, and that's gonna start. I think that's gonna start this window.
That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take. I had never thought about it like that. Oh yeah, he's just so skilled as a passer. Where I think they're all, or in his IQ as a defender is pretty good. Where I think he'll find his place in the league. But I do see a little bit of what you mean about if his athleticism is a huge part of his game. I do see your point there, though.
Like if he's gonna be an all-star, like Bam is.
Like prime. Yeah, his prime. Yes,
these are his prime Bam years. It's gonna be a shorter prime than most primes. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean that's how typically centers are, though. In my opinion, or like that tends to happen a lot. All right, yeah.
One more, I want to discuss LaMelo Ball. You both had him 10 through 6, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
sir.
I had him 10. Yes.
Yeah, so I had him at 16. So what am I missing on LaMelo?
I mean, LaMelo did just win Rookie of the Year and only playing 50 games. I mean, I just think LaMelo could keep getting better, keep making more shots. I think he's obviously the face of the team. I just think I don't see why his numbers don't increase a little bit now. I think he could easily be an all-star also this year. I think he definitely has the potential, definitely has the fans for it.
100%. And the pressure on LaMelo Ball now that he's shown that he is not a fraud, now that he shows he's not some like faker from the Australian league or the Lithuanian league, like he's actually for real, and we actually have to deal with LaMelo. I think he has to come out and show that he's going to be, LaMelo, that wasn't just a 50-game fluke. I mean, there's still going to be people saying, okay, now what can you do? And LaMelo is going to have to figure that out. And also, Charlotte, just like what you said, Sean, is Charlotte has decided that LaMelo is now going to be the guy after just 1 year, right? So he's going to have to figure out how to be that guy, and if he does, then he's going to take a huge step forward, and be the Net Hornets All-Star.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I mean, part of it, I have a hard time seeing him shoot as well as he did last year. After shooting I believe he shot 23% in Australia, if I remember correctly. His mechanics don't look any different. I don't know. It's still a little flawed with the elbow out. I don't know. I just have a hard time. That's part of the issue for me, I guess, is the eye test there.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, LaMelo, but that's like the shot he's had for so. And that was kind of the same with Lonzo coming out too.
But then Lonzo had to change
his shot.
He did.
Yes, he did. He did have to. But I
don't
know. I think
there's those clips of him as a 14-year-old hitting half-court shots at the Chino Hills high school games, right? I feel like nobody can get over that.
So, yeah.
I
mean, LaMelo has always been he has that dog mentality. He has that alpha mentality, and I think it's gonna draw into the NBA. I think the NBA is kind of perfect for him in that sense.
Yeah. One more thing for Ball, I also wanted to touch on was I put him a little higher. Maybe he's not the quality player, or maybe he won't have that kind of a season, but the media is 100% going to make it seem like he is, no matter what. I think that there's a good amount. They figured out that LaMelo is a cash cow, and they're gonna really push LaMelo Ball down our throats this year.
Yeah,
that's a fair reasoning. I will say the next cash cow that we're gonna bring up next, Zion Williamson, when we discuss our next top players. do we have more discussion for our 10 through 6, or are we good to go?
Do you guys want to talk about the Pacers, Domantas Sabonis?
Oh,
let's
yeah,
do it.
yeah, a little bit actually. Yeah, why do you have him at 10? Brad, remind me where you had Sabonis.
So I had him at 13.
Okay, I had him at 14. So what? How come you put him at 10, Thomas?
I think that that's going to be T. Warren's kind of a iffy to return, and so there's more opportunity there, and the head coach is Rick Carlisle, so they're going to be pushing to win now. I mean, I think we've talked about this before, is that they shouldn't be winning now, but they are going to try, and so that means I think there's going to be a lot more of the offense flowing through Sabonis. So why did you guys put him at a? I think my internet cut out. What did you guys hear the last part?
Yep.
Yes, I did.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
We're
Sorry
good.
about that. You're gonna have to edit that out, I guess.
So for Domantas Sabonis, I like him. I just don't know if he gets any. I don't think he'll really do much better than he was last year, which he was still good. I mean, he was still an all-star player, obviously. I just think for him to take that true next step in his game, I would really love to see a consistent three-pointer. And I don't know if we're there yet with him.
Yeah, consistent three-pointer, or maybe him seeing more minutes at the 5. I think.
Yes, I think that would be big. Because in my opinion, I think he should be an NBA 5. That's just kind of
100%.
how I think of him.
At the against those smaller centers, or those centers that aren't as strong, I think that's good. He always, I don't know how to describe this other than like medium strength. He doesn't have that overpowering post dominant strength, but he doesn't have poor strength either. So he'll always be able to bully those smaller ones, but he can't do the same on like those bigger guys or match up against those bigger guys. He's kind of in that like no man's land, I guess. So I'd like to see him really step it up against teams that have big men that are worse than him. I think we'll see a lot of production out of that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I think part of it, you factored in team success, I think, a little bit more than I did. So that's probably also why you have him a little higher.
This is true.
Sure, and I'd probably have him around closer to 10 if I had factored that in. Because I got some guys like De'Aaron Fox that I'd probably move down if we're factoring in like team success.
Okay. Are you guys ready to go to the top 5?
Let's do it.
All right.
All right.
Sean, you want to just
5 down. Thomas, would you like to start us off?
Okay. Yeah. So my number 5, and I know you'll disagree already, is Karl Anthony Towns.
Boo. No. What?
Yeah. Number
right.
4, I got Trae Young. 3 is Donovan Mitchell. 2 is Devin Booker, and 1, Luka Doncic. I don't think anyone. We all have Luka Doncic here.
Whoa, Devin Booker. We're gonna have to come back to that. All right, Sean, what do you got?
All right, I got Zion Williamson at 5. At 4, I have Donovan Mitchell. At 3, Trae Young. 2, Jason Tatum, and 1, Luka Doncic. All right, Brad.
Yeah, so I got Zion Williamson 5 as well. I got Donovan Mitchell 4, Jason Tatum 3, Trae Young 2, and Luka Doncic 1.
Me and you were close on those.
Yeah,
okay.
we were.
Yeah, so let's talk about Devin Booker at 2, Thomas.
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, but I think it's only fair.
Okay. Yeah. So for numbers 2 through 5, because we all put Luka Doncic as 1, I kind of decided that I had to come up with a take for each one of these players, and then lean really hard into that take for this ranking. So Devin Booker at 2, the take is that he's going to be that number 1 option for the team. And I think that coming back from the finals loss, he'll be really thirsty. I mean, we all kind of saw. I don't know. He's almost like he's got this like ballad that's kind of unfolding before our eyes, where he's finally like starting to taste success. But I think that he's going to be very hungry coming into the season, and that we'll see Devin Booker like really start to produce, and I think Chris Paul will take a smaller role, take the backseat in this team.
So what kind of numbers or production or even team success do you see him putting up for them?
Well, I see the Suns as a 1 seed or a 2 seed because, I mean, the West is kind of a weird conference where they're the teams that are the number one contenders aren't necessarily the number one regular season performers.
Sure.
But Devin Booker, I think, is going to be that very on-ball role. I don't know, but if he'll necessarily have a jump in stats, but I think that the team winning and then his role is just going to increase tremendously. I predicted that it was going to be the D-Book show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if hypothetically he becomes the main guard, because obviously last season, I think, especially in the regular season, it was a toss-up between him and Chris Paul. I don't think many people were confident on picking one or the other, purely off last season production.
Yeah.
It's specifically regular season, and I do think, but it's hard for me. I feel like they just this was their year to win. I don't know if it's going to be hard for them to get back to that. And that's where I kind of have Book a little more down on my list.
Have you guys heard that take where it's like Russell Westbrook is the reason that I guess this is a little off topic, but it's the take where Westbrook is going to be on the team to help James rest for the postseason?
Yeah, I mean,
I think it could be a similar role with Devin Booker, Chris Paul. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. That makes sense, especially with campaign there. That makes some sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. For me, with the whole Devin Booker thing, I just don't see – maybe that's just me. I don't see as high of a ceiling for him as a player. I think he's fairly close to his ceiling. He's a very good scorer. He's definitely a good secondary ball handler and playmaker. He's improved in that department. But overall, I don't know what next step he can truly make. Like, I don't see him taking a huge jump in that sense. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm missing something.
So, remind me, where did you put Tatum on your list, Thomas?
I put Tatum lower, and I don't know. I think I'm a little bit of a Celtics hater, to be honest. So I apologize for that bias. I put Tatum and Jaylen Brown at 7 and 8, and that's just based on – I guess it's also a little bit more based on team success. I just don't like their team. I think they're kind of weak. And, I mean, Tatum, he might have a good individual season, but I don't see that translating to wins.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I obviously was pretty high on Tatum. I put him at 2. I don't know. Tatum was a guy – he was an all-star starter, right, this last year? I mean, technically, I think because of injury he got to be. But I just think he's becoming like an all-NBA or he will be on all-NBA this upcoming season. He barely missed it this last season. In my opinion, got rigged that he didn't make it over Paul George. But I really think his game's still growing, and he's going to be a really good scorer. I think he's going to be a very good player, and that's why I have him at 2. He's an all-NBA caliber player for me.
How about Udoka? What are your guys' opinion on the new head coach? Or do you have one?
It's a weird situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too familiar with Udoka. I don't know. I mean, he's been around, I guess, the last couple years in head coaching circles. I don't know. I'm not in love with the hire from what I know so far, but I don't know I don't know the whole story. So maybe you know more than I do.
Well, yeah, he's a former player,
Yeah.
and he's been an
Yeah.
assistant on the Spurs for 2012 to 2019, and then he had little stints with the Sixers and the Brooklyn Nets
Mhm.
as assistant coaches. I don't know. I'm the same way as you guys. Assistant coaches, it goes either way, you know. Like either was an assistant coach that was really important, or an assistant coach where it's like, okay, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, sure.
I also was a little bit hesitant on the Celtics just as a whole because of their overall team, and then also because of that as a head coach. I don't know for sure if he's going to be the head coach of the future,
Yeah.
or if it might be another guy instead of him after next year.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. And Brad, how about you Thomas, remind me, where'd you have Trey Young?
I had Trae Young at 4. In my original list, I put him at 2.
4.
So I was
Okay.
pretty
Okay.
in
So
step
you
with Brad.
kind of see that. Okay. So we're all pretty big on Trey Young. Trey Young, I think, is going to have a great season coming off last postseason. Brad, if you want to talk a little bit about Trey Young since you have him at 2.
Yeah. So, I think he's going to have a fantastic season. I just think he is. And this could maybe change depending on how strict they get on the rule changes, because I know that's going to be coming up, and that could hurt his free throw attempts, as like 30% of his points were at the free throw line last year in the regular season. So that could affect it a little bit. But at the same time, he is just so hard to guard, especially in the regular season. A lot like in the James Harden sense, or even when you face Giannis against the Bucks. I think Hawks will become one of those teams that I expect them to be a top 4 seed, and it's just so hard to prepare for a guy like Trey Young in 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah, that's fair.
He might have that Harden effect on the league. Remember there was that year where Harden was just going nuts and getting 50-point games every other.
It was like 3. It was like consecutive years Harden was doing that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And he's the only All-Star on his team. There's really no point. I docked him a little bit because of the rule changes. I was just hesitant.
Okay,
I don't know.
I can't blame you for that.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's like it was almost because of Trey Young and James Harden that they made the rule change, and they might be looking for those kinds of non-calls more on a guy like Trey Young, you know?
Yeah. I see what you mean.
I can't argue with.
So who thinks Luka? We all put Luka at 1. Now I want to ask you guys if you guys think Luka could win MVP this year.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
Favorite, but I don't see it.
I see it. It's a scenario, right? They gotta be. What seed do the Mavs have to be for Luka to win MVP?
To be honest, I don't know if it has to be too high. If I'm comparing other candidates to him, I just think if Luka puts up close to 30, like the 9 assist, 8 rebound factor, if the Mavericks if they could even get into that 6 seed, I would say, I think Luka has a really good chance to win it.
I think lower than 6 you'd have to be.
No, I just think it's highly possible, and it's kind of like in my head, like the most likely scenario for the MVP candidates, just because there's so much teaming up now in the NBA. So I don't obviously you got to factor some of those guys out because they're not gonna. We haven't really seen MVPs win that often. I don't think Kevin Durant will win MVP if he has or Kyrie Irving and James Harden as his teammates. That's just kind of how the voting works. And I think Luka's lack of help could easily lead to an MVP season.
Yeah, I think last year there was like a million MVP candidates, right? There was almost like 12 dudes with cases. But I thought that Luka was – at the beginning of the season, people were predicting Luka for last year to be MVP.
Yeah.
And I thought it was almost unfair to him because as soon as he came in with those weight issues, it was all of a sudden like Luka's not winning. Like, oh my God, I can't believe he's so irresponsible for coming into the season overweight. And I thought he was a little bit unfairly docked early on, and then wasn't really able to catch up after that, because they were a 5th seed, and you just said like if they were a 6th seed, he could win MVP. So, I think that it's something that we're gonna have to see. But I feel like we can't discount the narrative aspect of this award. It's really hard to predict. That sort of
No,
thing.
yeah, for sure. And that I could maybe even see Trae Young even making a case. I think he might have a little bit of a better chance at making a case, just because I think he has enough help around him that he can be
Yeah.
a 4 seed.
Yeah, I think it's
but
possible.
not enough help where it's not another all-star he's playing with.
Yeah, it's possible. I wouldn't say you're crazy.
Yeah. So I guess if we've hit them all, do you want to talk about Zion?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So
yeah.
Zion Williamson is so efficient. I mean, he had 27 points per game as one of the most efficient players in the league last year. Like, I just don't see why his numbers wouldn't increase, or like his productivity increase even more. I think I would assume Willie Green their new coach can do a little better than Stan did. You never know, but usually it's easier for a coach to see the obvious mistakes the previous coach was making. So I would hope that he finds like ways to get Zion a more open lane. And I mean, obviously now they don't have Steven Adams clogging it as much, like guys like that. So, and Valanciunas can stretch it a little bit. So hopefully that'll be a better fit and pass better. But
To counter the reason I had him so low was because I don't know what he's going to do with the ball in his hands. Like I think he's going to be bringing the ball up the floor a lot more, and I don't know if that's necessarily what he wants to do as a player. And I mean, if that's something that works, then I'll be proven wrong, and that's fine. But I want to be able to see that before I put him as high as 5.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And that's something they started to do a lot towards the second half of last year, and why I think Lonzo Ball's, and we already talked about this a little bit, but Lonzo Ball is going to be in such a better situation where he wasn't even allowed to really bring up the ball a ton last year.
Yeah, it was mostly Zion and Brandon Ingram bringing up the ball.
Yeah, so exactly. So, I mean, but at the same time, that's just more opportunity for Zion to be involved in certain areas. And like Sean alluded to, he is just so skilled with either hand. He can finish over traffic too. It doesn't even really matter how clogged the lane is. I mean, obviously it always makes it easier, but he's still skilled enough to finish around traffic. Yeah, I just can't put him lower than 5. Yeah.
I see. I have I wonder if okay, so when there's smoke, there's fire, right? And I was kind of really reading into this whole Zion Williamson trade rumor. Zion Williamson family is not happy with the Pelicans all this stuff. And I'm wondering if if there's going to be a lot of off-court distractions. He's a 23-year-old kid, right? Like he might have like an entourage, or a lot of people from high school and from Duke that might be hangers-on trying to get into his head. And I'm wondering how a guy like Zion is going to be able to handle that. And then with these added rumors, I feel like that might be something that's more of a distraction than we understand it now. So that was my prediction for the outlook for just this season, not necessarily a commentary on how he is as a player.
No, yeah, that's a fair point. I hadn't really put much thought into that being a factor in this, but yeah, I mean that's a fair point, especially the fact that
3 head coaches in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean that's
not a good thing.
That's really tough. And Zion's is he's one of the. I remember when he was coming in as a prospect, I was like, man, this is the guy I'd want to be the leader of my franchise. Like, or how humble he was, like how great he was at Duke. He was always so inclusive. It felt like he was always so down to earth. But yeah, I mean, if they have another year where they struggle, yeah, I mean, I definitely see your point, Thomas. That's a good point.
Yeah. And their team, I like Valanciunas. I mean, I think Ingram's a good player, but I don't know. Like after that, like Devonte Graham as a point guard, like I don't know. I would have, if I were Zion, I would see that as like disrespect.
No, yeah, I know he wanted Lonzo Ball back. I remember him saying,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely know it's been there.
All right. So
How about Donovan Mitchell? I guess if that's
Donovan Mitchell.
Yes.
Yeah. Where'd you have him again?
well, I had 3. You guys have both having 4, so we're about on the
okay.
same key here. But I don't know. I'm just hyped for Donovan Mitchell. I love that man.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love Donovan.
Want
Love
to,
him.
yeah. Sean,
Um,
that was one of my guys I liked during the draft, and I did not understand why more people didn't.
yeah,
Well, I
I
just
mean,
see him as the 6'3" bucket. You know, I think in the playoffs, like when he's in a playoff series, it's just way more fun to watch a guy like Mitchell. He can just do anything in a night. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, Mitchell's definitely done a lot. I mean, he's that organization.
Mm-hmm.
He is taking that organization places it's never seen, in my eyes.
Don't say never seen.
Yeah.
Okay, not never seen. All right, that was my apologies, mailman and Stockton, and in the last like
Couple nice
15
players.
years, in the last 15 years, my apologies. I think he's done a lot for that organization. I mean, they were just the number 1 seed, the number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, in the West, kind of crazy.
I do. Do you guys think he got a fair amount of credit? I felt like the media kind of treated him unfairly in terms of the way he contributed to the Utah Jazz success. I felt like they emphasized too much Gobert and Conley and not enough on Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, Gobert, Gobert, I think was fair credit. Because I'm a big Gobert person. I think he makes up so much of their defense. And I think some of the hate's been on him's been a little harsh, but I'm not going to get into that. But with Mitchell, yeah, I mean, I definitely see your point. Part of the issue is just the fact that they're a slower paced team. So there's just not as many possessions, which is why his numbers were not as good as the Devin Bookers or the other all-stars ahead of him. But yeah, I mean, he is a special talent. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen in the playoffs, and he is that team's whole offense. He creates. They just surround him with shooters, and he can do his thing. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess the question was more Conley or Mitchell, not Gobert is undeniable, but what he does for the team.
Definitely Mitchell, obviously.
I mean, with Conley, I definitely think the all-star. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I definitely think. I mean, we all know the Mike Conley making the all-star team was a little suspicious. But it was a great honor for him because obviously he's had a great career. But in terms of their value and how important they were to the Jazz, I mean, Conley, I will say, maybe a little bit overrated. I mean, his leadership aspect is important. But I mean, Mitchell's the engine. He is the gas pedal that makes them go. There's no question about it.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear we have a good amount of Mitchell respect on this podcast. If there isn't, I mean, no one talks about Utah as much as they should. So I'm glad that we've got some Utah supporters here.
Oh yeah, definitely. So thank you to all our viewers for listening today to the BS Scouting Podcast. Thomas, I wanted to thank you again for coming on from NBA.
Thomas.
Yep.
Thanks so much, guys. Go check out Goated NBA News if you have the chance. It's goatednbanews.com or on Twitter at Thomas Goat NBA.
All right. So thank you all so much. Brad, any last words?
Just thanks everyone for listening and hope you guys tune in again. Thanks, guys.